So I've seen a lot about the Brutosaur. I've done a lot about the Brutosaur. I obviously got mine. There's some really big things going on with the Brutosaur that make it really complicated for people who are struggling to get one. That I want to go over because honestly, a lot of it I fell for myself. A lot of it I did myself, and it's important to understand how not to get the Brutosaur. First thing with not getting the Brutosaur is having unrealistic expectations. Like, you see a lot of videos that are clickbait, and they're like, oh, is there still time to get your Brutosaur? Oh, get your Brutosaur in these few months. Oh, fastest way to get your Brutosaur Mount. Yeah, he's worth it, but you need to understand it's going to take months of you every single day putting in effort. You're not going to be the one person who got super lucky with this super rare drop and made a shit ton of gold off of it. That's not how the average player is going to get their Brutosaur. It's a really important thing for you to understand that it takes time and consistency to get this thing. You're not going to get your Brutosaur by being like, yes, I followed these 2 strategies and I got my Brutosaur in 3 weeks or even in 3 months. It takes a lot of time and consistency to get your Brutosaur. Sometimes it's going to take you a little bit. So anything that's like the fastest way to the Brutosaur is automatically clickbait, flat out. Secondly, automatically clickbait is any video that literally has a picture of the Brutosaur as the image for the video. You'll notice that I did this. It's just clickbait. You see that Brutosaur, your brain is like, I gotta have it, I want it. My life without this thing is not good enough, and there's all this pressure to get it before time runs out, and I have to have it, and you get pressure to progress, and that pressure starts building up a deep desire, and you actually start to get addicted to images of the Brutosaur, to videos about how to get the Brutosaur. You start watching all this information, trying to find your best way to get it, and you get so excited and you get so into it that you're going to eventually do a couple of things. You're probably going to get addicted, and you'll get a little release of dopamine every time you look at this image, every time you see this Brutosaur, every time you imagine it's you on this Brutosaur, every time someone does this and your heart skips a beat. Okay, second thing is you're going to waste a shit ton of time. You know how I said it takes time to get it? Well, every single freaking 15-minute video that you're watching about gold making is not getting you the Brutosaur. How many times on how many videos from how many YouTubers do you need to be told, hey, here's the couple of things you need to do to get your Brutosaur? You're watching the same content over and over again just because the Brutosaur is in it. You already know the things that you need to do to get your Brutosaur. If you've watched 2-3 videos, you're done. I can name off YouTube streamers that go watch just a couple of their videos and you'll be done. You know how to get it. What's really, really the issue is people are making bank on your addiction to having this mount because there's a time crunch. Right now there's a slump in population in the game, which makes it a lot harder to get this mount. But it doesn't just make it a lot harder to get this mount because you're trying to sell stuff on the auction house and there's not as many people buying it for as good of prices because people are waiting for Shadowlands. It's also making it so that YouTubers are repeating the same content over and over and over and over again. Oh, look, they're making yet another video about yet another way to do the Sandstone Drake. Didn't they make one like 6 months ago? But you're gonna click on it again because maybe, just maybe, there'll be that nugget of insight, that one tiny thing that makes it so you can get the Brutosaur. The third thing about getting the Brutosaur is hustle concepts. This you see a lot in like self-help stuff and gurus and shit like that. Hustle culture. Oh, if you work hard enough, that's what gets you the Brutosaur. You're going to be the person who gets it when everybody else fell by the wayside. You're going to be the one person who has the Brutosaur Mount when no one else does. You're going to get it. And everyone else is going to be looking at you and so jealous of you, and you're going to be the one person who's lording it over everyone else. You're going to be the person in the raid group who can pull out their Brutosaur. And people in the raid groups, even now, make it worse. They're like, oh, look, somebody brought out their Brutosaur. Oh, showing off. Oh, look at them. That's not helpful. That just adds to your addiction. That just makes it worse. The big giant thing about the Brutosaur is you're like being fed a lie that it's a status symbol, but you're going to burn yourself out trying to get it if you don't actually want it because you want it. You need to make a hard decision. Do you actually like the awakened serpent, worm thing, whatever it is, better, and you want to get all those 15 pluses? Well, to buy them from Galliwix community, you're going to need, a little over 2.5 mil to get it. Do you like that mount better, but you're going to go for the Brutosaur instead because you feel compelled to? Like, think about what you actually want versus this stigma that's with this mount. I got this mount because I loved The Land Before Time when I was a kid, and I related a lot to Littlefoot, and I had to have this mount. Now, I had to have it because it was a Littlefoot. If Blizzard had made another mount that was a Littlefoot, would I have been as desperate to get this mount? No. Because what I really wanted was Littlefoot. Some people are like, oh, the convenience of having my auction house. Let me be really, really, really clear with you. You almost never use it. You have developed ability in your pursuit of the Brutosaur, and you have discovered the necessity of an auction house alt, and lo and behold, since you're not posting anything except on one character for the rest of your gaming career, the mount is really just a status symbol. You're not really doing anything. And the outdoor area in Orgrimmar in the Tauren district, where the bank, the guild bank, the freaking mailbox, and the auction house, and a vendor are all in this cute little loop of each other, is all you're ever going to need. That's where, despite having a Brutosaur, my auction house alt still resides. It's a fallacy that, oh, you're doing it because you desperately need this remote auctioneer, like, so important. That's just feeding into the addiction. How to not get the Brutosaur is to be addicted to the Brutosaur, being obsessed with the Brutosaur, being obsessed with farming, watching farming videos, burning yourself out. I have cried actual tears over this freaking mount because I felt so much pressure to do it. You will not get the mount if you are so mentally or emotionally invested into the mount that you are doing it for all the wrong reasons. You want to feel drawn to the mount, you don't want to feel shoved toward the mount. I was so motivated, and yet it still took me months and months because there were times where I just couldn't stomach farming some more. I just couldn't do it. And even though there were other things I could have been farming, I knew these were the things that were diversifying my market, were making it so that I was selling the most top quick selling items as fast as possible. So I had to just keep going and farming the same shit over and over again. And it makes you obsessed. And it makes you burn out. And if I hadn't had someone doing it at the same time as me, and we were motivating each other, and we were talking each other up and building each other up, I'm not sure I would have gotten it. Like, for real. It's so much work and effort, and it's such a struggle at some points to keep doing it. If you are doing it for all the wrong reasons, and you're just clicking on all the clickbait. The other thing that is clickbait is if it says, oh, 280k in an hour, oh, you can earn, I earned 3 million gold in my mailboxes. First of all, 280 gold in an hour is what they assume they're going to get. They got some drop from a dungeon that's a transmog that no one's ever gonna buy. Almost ever. It could take you a year. It could take you longer to sell that item. And you're not actually gonna get 280k out of it. Most likely you're gonna end up selling it out of desperation for like 60k. And even then, it might not sell because there's not as many players up right now and they're all waiting for Shadowlands. They don't need to buy transmogs because their board is crap waiting for Shadowlands and they're out farming their own. So no, you're not going to get 280k in an hour. Oh, they have 3 mil in their mailboxes. That is spread out over at least like 5 to 10 servers minimum. Like, they don't have 3 mil on one server. And all of that gold on those other servers, you're going to end up having to, at some point, pay for a character transfer or create some sort of trade with some trusted person from one server to another, or you're going to have to do something to get that gold all combined together. I have someone in the guild who's desperately trying to get gold off of Moonguard onto our actual server because half their gold's here and half their gold's there. And if it was all combined together, they'd almost be to their Brutosaur. But since it's not all combined together, they're only like halfway there. Because they're stuck. And the thing is, yes, you could technically find someone to try to help you get some of the gold over, but in reality, I did not get my Brutosaur by only farming gold on one server. I ended up having to transfer a character with hundreds of thousands of gold on it over to this server in order to have enough seed money to be functioning toward a Brutosaur. And a lot of players end up having to do that. And if you're trying to get your Brutosaur and you're trying to do it efficiently and effectively, you need to be realistic. How not to get to the Brutosaur is only focusing on one way to get your gold. People are like, oh, if you just farm Xanthid, oh, if you just go and, prospect your osmenite and turn it all into gems. Those are good things. I definitely did those things, but those are supplemental. And people like to say, oh, go farm some Draenor raids, or go farm Iron Docks. Go get yourself some raw gold. That's your supplemental. Go do world quests and farm paragon chests. That's your supplemental income. No. In my experience, the supplemental income is the auction house gold. At a certain point, I had to accept that farming non-stop for all these little mats was, like, brutal. Okay? It's a Brutosaur because it's brutal to force yourself to farm that much. You are getting a Xanthid, right? And the Xanthid is only worth so much. So you have to get a shit ton of Xanthid to make up the difference in the fact that you're going to have to do this over and over and over and over for hours and hours and hours, flying around in circles. Oh crap, there's a multi-boxer. Damn it, they took your Xanthid. It just despawned in front of you. It's frustrating. It's non-stop. You get super competitive with other players. You begin to hate multi-boxers. You begin to hate Blizzard for allowing multi-boxers. Everything is a war against you. Everything's out to sabotage you. You trying to get your Brutosaur. In reality, you're farming way too much. Go get the add-on WorthIt. Just go do it. Look up a couple of things that are worth a decent amount. Go farm 1 hour a day. Do not farm for crafting mats more than that. You will burn yourself out unless you genuinely like doing repetitive things over and over again. What is going to actually help you the most And it's still repetitive. Do not mistake me. It is still repetitive. Is taking advantage of the freaking Winds experience buff. Get that Winds of Wisdom going for you. Got some heirloom gear. Invest in getting some alts up. And then each week do your weekly lockout content for your raw gold. Do your world quests. Do the world quests that are worth gold. And at least which world quest is up offering gold changes in a day. At least while you're flying to these, you can gather, and there's your hour of gathering while you were just flying around to do world quests anyway. Oh look, here you go. You are farming an old raid. Good job. You did it. Now go do it on your next character. Okay, now go do it on your next character. You can beat all 4 difficulties of Blackrock Foundry and get that nice chunk of raw gold that you are assured of getting in less time than an hour of map farming. And you're like, oh, but the mats are worth so much more. Yeah, but you're also going to not get your Brutosaur if all you're doing is constantly posting. There is a massive, massive thing going on, and it's become so massive that Blizzard actually had to throttle it on the auction house recently of cancel scanning and then reposting. Okay, now go cancel scan again and repost. Okay, now go cancel scan again and repost. This is completely stupid and not helpful to you for several reasons. First of all, the whole point of not posting 50,000 Xanthid at once is it floods the market. But if you're constantly cancel scanning and then reposting your Xanthid, and say you have 5,000 Xanthid you're doing that with, and you end up cancel scanning and reposting enough times to equal 50,000 Xanthid having been posted over and over again because you won't stop reposting yours, you are effectively flooding the market in the exact same way. Stupidity. Secondly, by cancel scanning and reposting over and over again, you're costing yourself your post fee, and for some stuff, that's not that big of a deal, but for a lot of stuff, especially those juicy big ticket items that are gonna get you halfway there, or a quarter of the way there, or whatever it is, sell this item with your 2x4 and constantly cancel it if anyone undercuts you and repost it, and blah blah blah. Eventually that's gonna start catching up with you. You don't want to be wasting money in an attempt to get some money. It doesn't make sense. It's stupidity. The other thing, and this is the biggest one in my opinion, is you are wasting so much time standing at your auction house trying to cancel and repost that you're not actually out gaining any gold. Let me say that again. The auction house is meant to be a passive form of income while you're out getting gold other ways. If you post it for 12 hours and you're posting at the sweet spots for your server, for instance, for my server, if you post before, like 5 p.m., it's basically a giant waste of time. Like, my server's active at different times than maybe your server is. On my old server, on the other server that I transferred a character from, you wanted to post around 1 or 2. And posting at 1 or 2 made it so that you could make sure you got the best value in the day for your 12 hours. Posting for freaking 48 hours, yeah, you're gonna get undercut, so don't do that. But in reality, you standing there cancel scanning 6 times a day, 11 times a day, whatever it is just you wasting time, not actually gaining gold. Do things that are fun for you, so you don't burn out, but that you're getting passive gold. Don't make farming a raid all about how much gold per hour am I getting. I finally had to get to a point where it was like, you know what, I'm gonna go farm this raid, not just because I need gold, but also I need the mount that drops in there, and maybe I'll get a chance at the mount. And you have some other motivating factor to make it more worth your while. You need to reward yourself and associate going for that gold with pleasure instead of pain. You want to get to the Brutosaur? You want to know how not to get the Brutosaur? That addiction feeling. That's how you don't get to the Brutosaur. Keep that childlike wonder and excitement. Keep that pull instead of being shoved toward the mount. That being drawn to it, being excited about it. Also, how not to get the Brutosaur is doing it by yourself. There's like 5 people in the guild right now, all going for farming millions of gold at the same time, and they're all getting there. You are not in competition with your guildies, you're not in competition with everyone else to get your Brutosaur. This is a fake thing, it's not true. And if you're not getting help, if you're not talking to people about it, if you're not spreading your excitement about it, and other people are doing it with you, you're not going to have any of that infectious motivation, and you're going to burn out, or else you're going to become so stingy and so crusty and like freaking become Ebenezer Scrooge with all of your money, trying to manage all of it, being like, oh, I hate this person, they always undercut me. They're trying to do the exact same thing you are. Don't hate them. You're doing the exact same thing. Your Brutosaur is gonna feel good if you earned it, and terrible if you felt shoved into it. I had to stop farming for mounts all the time. I used to farm for mounts every single freaking week. I'd go to raids that I didn't have mounts in. I would go farm it on 1 to a few characters. I have multiple 120s because that helped me get my Brutosaur. And it's like, at a certain point, I finally, after years upon years upon years, I got my Ashes of Valar, right? Off Kael'thas. But I had been farming freaking Tempest Keep, like, so freaking much, killing Kael'thas over and over, listening to his stupid redundant speech over and over, that by the time I got the mount, years of effort later, the RNG for me was just so bad that I didn't get it for years and years. I didn't just burn myself out. It wasn't really that. It was that I had put so much effort into getting it that it was just a relief not to have to go back. It didn't feel good to get the mount. It didn't feel like I earned it in any way, shape, or form. It felt like, oh my god, finally. The RNG gives me this fucking thing, and I never have to come back here ever again, and I'm so relieved, and freaking yes. You don't want to feel that way when you get to the end of your 5 million gold. You want to be like freaking out, your heart's beating fast, you're taking screenshots, you're celebrating, you're so excited, you're on Discord talking with a guildie or few, excited about it, telling people, oh my god, here it is, I'm about to click. You want to have that excitement. You do not want to get to the end and be like, wow, I'm finally done. The last thing I will say about how not to get your Brutosaur mount is, at the end, when you get your Brutosaur mount, there is a little bit of a judginess from people toward you sometimes for having it. They're like, oh, look at you, someone's rich. Oh, look at you, someone had too much time on their hands. Whatever it is. If you did something and you felt it was worth doing, screw those people. They're gonna happen. Whatever. Don't get the Brutosaur mount expecting that once you have it, you're going to actually always have positive reactions to having it. People like to go on and on about how it's a status symbol and it's, this unique model and it's going away and only the people who have it will be seen as the cool people, or whatever it is, this sentiment, when in reality most people are a little butthurt that they see you put in that much effort and they couldn't motivate themselves to do so. And at the end, no, you are not going to be rich. No, you are going to be broke. It is a misconception that people with a Brutosaur mount are all rich. You have to motivate yourself to keep posting and gold making. After you get your Brutosaur, you're probably going to want a nice, long, relaxing break from gold farming. And that's okay. It's okay. It will be worth it if you did it for the right reasons. You want to get your Brutosaur Mount? Just get your WorthIt add-on, go farm 1 hour a day on mats, and then the rest of the time just be playing the game. You get a lot of gold passively just playing it, doing the things that you actually have fun doing. Maybe if you're doing something and you're like, man, I'm doing a lot of pet battles. Pet battles aren't really getting me gold, but I really like them. Go get some pets, level them to 25, and try to sell them that way. It adds a little bit of worth to them, but honestly, battle pets don't sell super often. Maybe you need to temper your pet battling a little bit and go run a couple of old raids in Draenor or Legion or something. But in reality, it's not good to just drop pet battles completely if that's what you like. It's okay to play the game just for the sake of enjoying yourself. You don't want the entirety of the game to be associated in your head with chores. Or you're not going to want to play it, and you're not going to be satisfied with your Brutosaur. Take it from someone who had to deal with almost all of this in the journey to my own Brutosaur, and who had to learn the lessons the hard way. Is it worth it to do? Definitely. It absolutely can be. If you're like me and you love The Land Before Time and the Brutosaur is actually like this model that really speaks to you, go for it. You'll actually be glad you did.